Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the PTC podcast. I'm here today with Steve Ashby. How are you, Steve? How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
I'm good.
Excellent.
A little bit behind schedule today, but I made it. Sorry for keeping you guys waiting. I hate being late for these, and I kept you guys waiting. So sorry about that. So, Steve, we met kind of, I don't know if you would say serendipitously or if you'd say it was a bit of fate.
Possibly a bit of both.
Yeah, whichever way your belief system lies. We gave good friend Sam Morris a couple of vouchers to raffle off at his XL Talks a couple of weeks ago, and you were the winner of that. And then we met, and you told me your story. So I was like, right, well, we have to get this on a podcast and help the cause. So why don't you start with a little bit about you, kind of, and how we ended up here together.
Okay, well, firstly, I really appreciate winning the tickets because I don't win anything. So, going back to the serendipitous fate, then that clearly was something that was in the winds. I'm usually a believer in things happen just because they happen, not for a reason.
Right, yeah.
I'm too old to worry about things happening for some woo-woo reason. Okay, a bit about me. I'm a Kiwi. I'm 70. I've got stage 4 prostate cancer. Found out beginning of August about that. And when I found out, it was like being run over by a bus. I was on a path to live till I'm 100, and all of a sudden, Mrs. Google told me, because of course I researched it, that I've got 2.5 years to live. And I thought, this cannot be right. I've got a resting pulse rate of 42. I ride 150k a week on the bike. This can't be happening. And then I looked into it a bit more, and I found out that at my age, it's either you or me that's going to get it. So, and I just drew the short straw. So, so that's kind of the background, and I'll circle back now and talk a little bit about me. I've got a 40-year career in senior positions in HR, in business transformation and leadership coaching and so on. And I've been in Dubai for 17 years now. So I've always been fit. I've been exercising religiously since I was 15, run a lot of marathons, did under 240 back in the day, a long time ago now.
Yeah, that's fast, eh?
But, so I've always pushed myself. And so coming through to last year, I was having a bit of problem. The typical symptoms, I was going to the bathroom a lot, nothing was happening. So I went and had a couple of MRIs spaced out by 3 or 4 months, and the last one I had in September, they said you're PRADS 2 out of 5.
Right.
So PRADS 2 means it's unlikely there's any cancerous tumour. And so I thought, oh, phew, that's good. And then 6 months later, I went and had another MRI and said, we think you might have a tumour. And I said, but 8 months ago I didn't. They said, yeah, this stuff grows really fast. And they said, we think it might have actually be quite serious, like possibly stage 4. And then, we think it might have spread, which is stage 4B.
Right.
So it's like top of the pops. There isn't anything after stage 4B. The only good luck is that it hasn't gone into my bones or into my liver or my brain. It's in the lymph nodes.
Right.
And they've got me on, so they said, you don't need surgery, there's no point, there's no chemo, all that sort of stuff. We can treat this with medication, which is what's happening. And it seems to be working, and long may it continue to do that. But as I say, it was like being run over by a bus.
Yeah.
And the first day I basically just lay on the floor and cried. Then I looked around for a support group, and there wasn't one.
Right.
So being an enterprising Kiwi, I thought, bugger it, I'll make my own. So I did.
Yeah.
So that's where Rise started from, the knowledge that I'm not the only guy who's got this, but there's nothing out there for people like me and them. So we started Rise, which is a bit of an in-joke because, as you know, one of the problems with people with prostate cancer is they cannot rise.
Yeah.
So, I've got a bizarre sense of humour.
No, you told me that story the last time, yeah.
So, I went to a few people and I said, look, I'm going to start this community. And they said, have you ever done this before? And I said, no. And they said, it's quite difficult to start these sort of communities. And I said, is it? They said, yeah, chances are you're going to put a lot of effort in and not much is going to happen. I said, oh, fair enough. So you're going to stop? I said, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
So
who said that to you? Who are those people?
These are just mates,
Yeah.
People have seen me try and do things before and put a lot of effort and not really get anywhere. But I went to a few people who I know and love, and guys like Matt at Raw Coffee, and I said to Matt, I'm thinking of doing this thing. And he said, what do you need? And I said, well, we're going to do an event series. We're going to have regular meetings. And he said, okay. He said, do you need the cafe? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay. I said, how much is it going to cost? He said, nothing. He said, I'll put on a few staff for you. We'll do it from 7 to 9. We'll put some food on, et cetera, et cetera. And it just keeps happening like that. And it's just extraordinary. It's like, instead of running around trying to seek attention and trying to bring people in, it's almost like just standing still and opening my arms, and people just want to help.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is absolutely extraordinary in this day and age to see that kind of love, So, we've had a couple of events. Participation is building. We've got social media all done for free. We've got a website done after a somewhat drunken afternoon with an Aussie guy.
Right.
And he said, you're going to need a website for this thing, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I guess so. And he said, righto, we'll have one for you in 3 days. And he did.
Brilliant.
Absolutely staggering.
What's the website? Just
it's we-rise.live.
Cool.
And it's brilliant. So now we've got a shop as well. We're launching a range of T-shirts and hoodies and stuff as of today. It's easy to find that online.
It's on the website?
It's on the website, but we're going to publish the details a bit later today.
Cool.
But, just really good quality stuff that we're putting our logo on, and we're also putting a message about prostate cancer awareness.
Yeah.
Sort of stuff that people could feel comfortable wearing because it's not sort of blaring in your face,
Yeah.
Range of cycling gear being made currently in China, really high quality Italian fabric. So there's a guy over there whose father died of prostate cancer, and this Chinese guy runs the company, and he just wants to help, which is, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, great.
Starting to talk now in businesses, like later on today, going into a part of Dubai Holdings. Last week it was AW Rostamani, talking to Mazda, talking to Eldar, talking to DP World, and they've got guys in their staff who are going to get prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Already have it, may not know it, or are going to get it.
You told me a statistic last time.
Statistic, it scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
The statistics are that 1 in 7 men either are going to get prostate cancer at some time in their lives. Now, it's always been regarded as an old man's disease, right? So, if you're way up here age-wise, you're my age or older, you're gonna, you're pretty likely to get it. But what's happening is more and more younger guys are getting it. So down now in the 40s, men are getting it. So Chris Hoy, the amazing British cyclist who was a world champion and gold medal winner, he's got prostate cancer. It's terminal.
Oh, wow.
And he's got 2 years to live. And the only reason he found out about it was because he had a pain in his shoulder. Now, this guy's been surrounded by incredible medical teams all his professional career. How on earth could he get to the point of having a tumor in his shoulder blade, in his shoulder joint bones, because he's got it right through, he's riddled with it. Wow. How on earth could that happen? And the answer, I think, is fairly simple. I could be completely wrong, but nobody thought to test it.
Yeah, no one tested. Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
So one of the things that we're doing with Rise is that we are emphasising the point about early detection. And a lot of guys think that the prostate cancer test is digital, and everybody goes, "Oh gosh, I don't want that happening," but it's not. It's a simple blood test in
Yeah.
your arm, you know. That's it. That's all it is. It's like 15, 20 seconds, boom, gone.
Yeah.
Blood, get the report back 48 hours later.
Look, we talked about it after you came in. We talked about it with the guys, and we thought it was more a case of doctor says lean over on the bed,
Yeah.
puts a rubber glove on.
Yep.
You take a big breath in, close your eyes, wait for it to be over, and then you get told good or bad news. But now it's a blood test.
It's a blood test.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this piece alone, educating guys about the fact that the test is so much more simple than they thought. That's one really important thing. The second thing is emphasising the fact that if they're over 40, they need to have a test as a baseline, because it is going down, like I said, it's coming down the age range. And so 40 is a good time to start, just with one test, because your chances of getting it increase the older you get. But having said that, you know, at the event a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Paris, and he was saying that they're just getting over the death of a friend of theirs who's 35.
Wow.
Died of prostate cancer.
Did you know about it?
I didn't know him. But, you know, I keep hearing these stories. I heard of another guy, last week I heard of a guy who's 28. So prostate cancer isn't just down around your prostate. Prostate cancer travels. It travels all over your body. So you can have a prostate cancer tumour like Sir Chris Hoy in your shoulder, but he's also got them everywhere else. So, you know, it's the second most prevalent cancer for men, and it's the second major cause of death for men after lung cancer.
Wow.
So this is not to be trifled with. So, you know, there's an old saying, ignoring prostate cancer will not make it go away.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about detection. Young women these days, and I am so pleased that this has finally happened, young women these days are taught to do this at an early age so they can do self-examination for lumps and so on. There isn't anything like that you can do for me, and you can't go, you know, and check. There's nothing to check, right? So you need to have the test. And knowledge is absolutely everything. The power of knowledge, the power of knowing that everything's okay now. So if I'm 40, I'll get another test in a year or 2 years, and so on and so forth. And then increase the frequency of tests the older that you get. That's one thing. The second thing is to be aware of what symptoms there actually might be. And to put it bluntly, you know, going to the toilet too many times, like instead of normal couple of times a day, you're up 4 or 5 times a night or whatever, or you notice the frequency of peeing is going up. That's one thing to be aware of. The second thing is when you get there, nothing happens. Either nothing happens or you don't have the same volume and force that you had, you know, when everything was normal. And those are warning signs, and they have to be investigated straight away. Because as I just told you, you know, from September, nada, absolutely nothing, to May, and I've got stage 4.
Yeah.
You know, this stuff moves really, really fast. It's dormant for a very long time. Probably probably all men have got prostate cancer cells in their bodies. It's just, you know, which card you draw. Yeah. And I drew.
This is what I'd heard as well a long time ago, was that everybody is a carrier, or everyone has dormant. There's something, I don't take my word for it, but it's far more common than people who present with the symptoms. It's far more commonly present. I remember, like, one of the first times I understood some of the symptoms of prostate was through a comedy. I don't know what it's called. I think it might be like Zoolander, one of Ben Stiller's movies. He's got his dad in one of the scenes, and his dad jokes, you know, my prostate is the size of I don't know if he says watermelon or if he says like walnut, but he can't pee, and he hasn't peed in 2 days. You know, that's the way that I kind of started to think about it, because that was one of the first things, like I said, I understood. And then fast forward maybe 5 or 6 years, my granddad in his 80s, he passed away of prostate cancer, as well as, you know, he's 82, and this is 20 years ago. So it was kind of like buzzing around my head for a while back then. But it was definitely not, I definitely didn't know that it was a blood test.
Well, just going back to the analogy of the fruit and so on, and nuts, but we won't go too far there. Sorry about that. The normal prostate's the size of a walnut.
Right.
Right. Now, talking to my oncologist, he said he's seen them the size of a grapefruit. And yes, it does press on the urethra.
Yeah.
So it means that there's not enough urine coming from the bladder and expelling, and then the bladder sends jangled signals to the brain, which is, I'm still full. And then the brain does its thing autonomically and get you to go and pee.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's nothing, either nothing happens or not enough happens.
Yeah.
So just on your grandfather, there's another one of these truisms. Every man dies with prostate cancer, but very few men die of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds really good, except when you've got it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't sound very good. So all these things, all these kind of truisms, don't worry, men get it when they get older. I'm not, I don't feel old, Yeah. I don't look old. I don't act old. I'm still a larrikin. I'm still going to grow up one day. I'm just not sure when.
Yeah.
But I'm out there. I'm coming to this amazing gym. I'm cycling. I'm starting to race now. I haven't raced for years, like 30 years or 40 years. I haven't been in a racing situation. I'm starting racing next year.
On the bike?
Yeah, on the bike. At the moment I can't waddle across the road because I've got so many injuries.
Right.
I mean, I've got a list of injuries and ailments that would freak most people out.
It shows you it's a life of activity, a life of adventure,
Yeah, and I'm going to go to Kilimanjaro next year.
Yeah,
I'm
amazing.
Go to France and cross country ski over Christmas. It's just.
You're going cross country skiing, yeah?
Yeah.
Where are you doing that?
Well, when I fall off most of the time, but what I'm there to do, I'm going into the French Alps, staying with some friends for Christmas. But the point is, I'm out there and I'm exercising. My mate has also got a mountain bike, and he lives on quite a steep driveway. Luckily, halfway up the mountain.
Yeah.
So I'm taking some cycling kit, and I'm going to take it very easy going down his driveway, then push like hell getting back up.
Wow.
And so basically, I'm going to be doing
Hill
aerobic
sprints.
and anaerobic exercise in the snow.
Well, the cross country thing is a real calorie burner. That's a real intensive expedition, whichever way you go.
And it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's just a fabulous way of doing things. So, I've still, as far as I'm concerned, I am going to live till I'm 100.
Yeah.
And I am going to have a great time. A little story. My brother John has been in insurance for 35 years. And he put packages together for senior executives and companies and stuff. And he got to know quite a few of his clients. And they'd come to him sometimes and they'd say, John, I've got cancer. And John would say, okay, how long are you going to live? And some of the people would say, I'm going to live till I'm 100. And he said, right, okay. And then some other people would come along, say, oh, John, I've got cancer. And he'd say, how long are you going to live? And they'd say, I've got to do the chemo, and then I might have to have an operation, and I just don't feel very strong about it. And so what John said to me is, the first group, they live, maybe not till 100, but they keep going. The other group, he said, they die within 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
So one of the things that we're talking about is what happens up here. Now, we've got our next session coming up, our next monthly event's on the 19th of December, and it's called Century Celebration. And the reason why is because since I started Rise, I know for a fact over 100 men have had a PSA test with the blood that wouldn't have had it otherwise. And who knows how many lives we've saved as a result of them having that PSA test. I don't need to know. All I know is somewhere in amongst all of that, we've achieved our mission, which is save a life, save a family.
You said 1 in 7, eh? So potentially 12, 13 guys, 14 guys have got a...
Well, no.
Or haven't they either have got, if they continue on the path, they may not have got it this one test. But if they continue on the path, what do you say? Is it once a year, once every...
Once a year, and then, like one guy that I met last week, he's 54. He's as fit as a buck rat. He He did the PSA test as a result of talking to me, and it came back, and he now has to have an MRI.
Wow. Okay.
Because the PSA test was abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean to say he's got it. There could be a variety of reasons why the MRI scan was abnormal. It may just be a thing called benign hyperplasia, which is that there's an enlarged prostate, but it's not cancerous.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be precancerous. So he's going to go and have an MRI. Now, once you get to that stage that you've had an MRI, then you're on the trail of finding out exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
What the PSA test does, and sure, when you're 35 or when you're 40, you have them once every year or 2 years. If you're well within the range, you don't need to have them too often, once every couple of years. But over the age of 45, I reckon, every man should have one after, one a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like talking to people, and I go to events and I wander up to bunches of guys who are standing there, and I look around the room, there's probably 200 guys in the room in these networking events. And I wander up to these guys and I say, can you help me? And they say, oh yeah, how can we help? I say, I'm looking for 35 guys. And they say, what? I say, yeah, in this room of 200, there's roughly 35 guys who've got prostate cancer. So can you just help me find them, and let's see if we can save their lives?
Yeah.
And every one of them, to a man, asks me, this is really unusual. I've never had anybody come up to say this, but how can we help? And I say, give them a card, and I say, the very first thing you can do to help is not be one of them.
Yeah.
So please go and get a test. And they do. Some of them send me, they just ping me on WhatsApp and say, hey, Steve, went and had the test, everything clear. I say, great, that's brilliant. I am a little unusual, but I think the mission that I'm on, which, and I don't want this to sound like self-aggrandizement, I see myself as the global face of prostate cancer.
I love that, mate. That's
there's a metric ton of men out there, just in Dubai and Abu Dhabi alone, that nobody is talking to about this stuff. So, if I can cover in a sensible way this territory to start with, and get all the support from the companies and so on to get me to come in and talk to their teams, talk to their guys. I mean, I was with some guys from AW Rostamani a week or two ago. They'd never ever heard of prostate cancer, much less having a test. And so at the end of it, they all thought, wow, and so they were going to go and get a test. Last week I was sitting next to a 64-year-old guy who's got type 2 diabetes. And I said, you're 64? And he said, yeah. I said, what's your PSA score? He said, what's that? I said, it's to do with prostate cancer. Heard of that? I said, I won't tell you exactly what I said.
Yeah, fair.
But basically I said, for God's sake, man, go and get a PSA test. It's only blood. You can get it here. Where we were was in the fabulous Elder Square, and they got a full polyclinic upstairs. Go, please, right now, give blood, get a test, because at 64 years old, your chances are 1 in 3 that you're going to get prostate cancer if you haven't already got it.
So, talking about early detection, if they catch it early, if
they catch it early, they can treat it.
Yeah. Chemo, radiation?
No, not even going that far with meds.
Meds, yeah.
If it hasn't developed into something like, if it's just a very, very small tumour or blip, then the meds will take care of it. That's as far as I'm aware. Look, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that if you catch it early, you can go into remission, which basically means, look, it's out there, but we've got it under control completely. So with me, what they've told me is treatable but not curable, right? Now, me being me, I thought, oh, bugger that. I am going to get this crap out of my body.
I'm with you, but I'll back you on that.
And so I'm talking to people about what are some of the alternative medicines and therapies that are out there. not to substitute for the very good stuff that I'm on at the moment, which is doing a great job of shrinking my prostate and getting my PSA score right back down and all that sort of stuff.
So that's happening?
Yeah, that's happening now, and it's having an amazing effect, which is brilliant, you know. And funnily enough, it's not one of the modern versions of the drugs. It's a bit like, getting an iPhone for 16,000 dirhams or getting a crappy little phone for 600 dirhams.
Yeah.
If I went on the top of the pop stuff at the moment, it would be 20,000 dirhams a month for the drugs.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, that means...
That's crazy, isn't it, that people are going to charge that?
But for me, that means after a year, going and finding a beach in Thailand or Philippines, lying on the beach and just waiting to die. I can't afford that. That's ridiculous. What they came up with, they said, here's 3, and we like this one. You know, this is like the one that's got 4 cameras, and you say Siri, and it makes you a cup of tea in the morning. You know? Or we've got this other one. I said, how much is that? And they said 679 dirhams a month. I said, okay. What's wrong with it? And they said, nothing. It's just, it's the old version. And I said, what? Kind of like the old handset with the curly cord and
just
the
an
rotary
iPhone.
dial.
It's an iPhone 3.
It's an iPhone 3.
Yeah.
And I said, does it work? And they said, yeah. I said, is it still being prescribed? And they said, yeah. But it's just not the bells and whistles.
That's mad, isn't it?
And I said, I'll take that one. Thanks very much. Oh, are you sure? I said, yeah, I sure am sure, because I can't afford the other one, not in a million years. And so that's, there are options out there. The only reason it's cheaper is because it's outside of the patent period. And now it's a generic drug.
Yeah, it's crazy that they would like 20,000 dirhams, you said, or $20,000 dirhams?
20,000 dirhams.
So, I mean, how many people are going to sign up to that to actually make that a few people? If they drop that price down by, 60%, it's still more than your 600 dirham version. But more people will take it. Surely that'll take their revenue up beyond 20,000, do you know? Like, just by having it at that price, it's just pricing so many people who need it out of the market. Whereas the drug company compromises, don't make that much profit, bring the price down, allow more people get on it, and then you're saving more people. That's my rudimentary understanding of this.
There's a few presuppositions in there that drug companies actually want to save people. And
fair.
I suspect what
I'm guilty of that presupposition. I would hope that's at least, if I wanted to be dark about it, at least keep them alive long enough to make more money from them.
The issue around pharma companies is one that we could spend several podcasts doing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
It's interesting to know that so many pharmaceutical companies own food manufacturing companies. And what does most food have in it that shouldn't have? Sugar. People are, overweight. They're dying of the amount of sugar that they eat.
Yeah, and then the next
sugar
step
feeds
Yeah,
cancer,
that's it.
Right?
That's the next step.
So just going back a step, talking about... There's a rationale for the price, and which is the enormous amount of money they have to invest in inventing the drug. And then they've got a patent period which lasts so long, and then it goes generic. As I say, there is a huge discussion to be had around that, which is global. But here's another more pertinent, for me anyway, a more pertinent and interesting fact. I talk to guys who are in their 40s and 50s, they work for big companies here in the UAE, and they say, I don't need to go and get a PSA test because I get an annual blood panel done as part of my annual insurance, and so I don't need it. Until I say to them that did they know that very, very few of the insurance companies, if any, actually include a PSA test, the second biggest killer of men on the planet. And most of the insurance companies do not cover it. They don't do it. How insane is that?
And why? Do we know why? Do we have theories on why?
I hesitate to guess. All I know is that you can go and get, like, at the moment, we've got a deal on, which is 150 dirhams to go, and somebody will come to your home and they'll do a blood test for you and give you a report 24 hours later. 150 dirhams.
Yeah.
Why the insurance companies don't cover it, I have no idea. And quite frankly, it would just make me angry if I got
It's almost
involved.
like they don't want to wake any sleeping dogs.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's insane, because then what happens is that, let's say somebody gets prostate cancer. I don't have insurance anymore, just the very basic one because I'm self-employed. And at 70, prices are insane. I went and had a look at a couple of insurance companies, and I said, look, I've got these pre-existing conditions. It's quite a long list. I've also got brain seizures and...
Yeah, this is something I wanted to just touch on as well. That, right? Yeah, hopefully before we go.
And they said, oh yeah, no worries. Your premium will be 185,000 dirhams a year.
They just
I said, oh, okay, thank you very much. And they said, you got prostate cancer? And I said, yeah, that's, being honest. They said, okay. We probably wouldn't cover you because the list of exclusions is so long that effectively we wouldn't be giving you anything from the insurance. So I thought, okay, fair enough. It is what it is. But
it's crazy.
The fact that guys think, number one, the blood test is covered by their insurance. It's part of their medical checkup. Very unlikely that it is. They need to ask specifically what my PSA score is. After they've done the bloods, they need to say to whoever's done them, send me the details of my PSA score. I would like to know. Anything above 4, depending on where you are age range-wise, anything above 4 is cause for concern. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're younger than 60, it could be anything above 2. Right. So there's quite a lot of variation, but it's been around for a long time. Since 2009, it's been the preferred choice of test, first-line test, triage test, and they're now pretty good at working out, where you should sit and where you might sit. So that's what happened with this 54-year-old guy. Mine, in August when they, they actually diagnosed and told me mine was 106.
Wow.
It should be no less than, it should be no more than 4.
Yeah.
So, so there's a whole range of really weird stuff happening around it. So I'm learning all these things as I go and just educating men about what it is, what it does to you, i.e. kill you, if you don't take action, how you can detect it on an early basis, how you keep aware of it, what your options are in terms of, I'm now starting to find out there's a lot of different alternative therapies out there, medications out there, not just the normal Western, streamlined stuff. So I'm having a look at some of these things, and I'm kind of treating myself as a bit like a crash test dummy. Yeah. I'm 70. I've got the stage 4. I'm staying on the meds, but why shouldn't I try some of these other things that are out there that have been used for people for years and years and years, have no side effects?
Have you started them yet, or are you still looking?
I'm just getting to the point where I can find where I can get the right dose and what the right dose is. Right. But
even things like diet and stuff, like you could experiment with a carnivore diet, then that doesn't work, go veggie.
Well, what we're doing with Rise is we're saying that there are actually 4 pillars that we're concentrating on, and we're putting workshops together around this as well. And this isn't really just about prostate cancer, it's about cancer in general. And then some people have said to me, you know what, it's actually about life. Mm-hmm. Men are really bad at looking after themselves. So what we're putting together, it actually has quite universal application. And we say that there are 4 pillars. And the pillars are, first is physical health, which is what you're going to be talking about at the event on the 19th. Second is nutrition, which Tomasa will talk about. The third is mental health, which is what Dr. Veronica is going to be talking about. She's a qualified cancer coach. And the fourth is resilience, aka bloody mindedness.
Yeah. That's probably the hardest one.
That's it's the hardest one for a lot of people. For some reason or other, I am bloody minded.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's because I have
those cold New Zealand winters.
Huh?
Yeah, those cold New Zealand winters.
I think it's partly, it's partly a New Zealand thing. Yeah. But it's also just I refuse to bow. There's a lovely bastardized Latin expression, noli illegitimi carborundum. Okay. Which means never let the bastards grind you down.
Right. Is that on the back of your merch? That should be right across the.
It should be
the rear.
But yeah, you know, I refuse to give
What
in
is it
to
again?
this
Say
stuff.
it again.
Noli illegitimi carborundum.
That's
Never
what
let
we'll
the
call
bastards.
the podcast. We'll have to figure out the spelling.
Never let the bastards grind you down. I'll give you an example. When I was diagnosed at the beginning of August, apart from being run over by the bus, the next thing I realised...
You got run over by a bus?
Felt like it.
Oh, shit, yeah, gotcha. Right.
It felt like the cancer was like this, and right in front of my face. I couldn't look around it or anything. It dominated all my thoughts. Dominated my thoughts of when I need to go back to NZ to see my brothers and sisters, because, you know, in 2.5 years, boom, go back to the UK, see my kids, boom. You know, it's like all of a sudden, the 30 years that I had planned to live got compressed down to 2.5 years. Mrs. Google is not always right.
Right, yeah.
Right? So I thought, I can't live like that. I cannot live like that. Otherwise, I'll be drinking every night and I'll get fat and I'll stop exercising and I'll just give up. And so what I did was I took the cancer from here and I placed it in a small invisible box over to my right, and I call it Donald,
right.
After Donald Trump, you know, that odious guest that won't go away.
Right.
It screws everything up. So it's called Donald. It sits over here by my side, invisibly.
The box is called that? Or
the box is called Donald.
Does the cancer have
a name? The cancer is sitting... Yes, it does, but it's long and it involves quite a few swear words.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, let's just...
Carry on.
And as soon as I did that, my world opened up again. And what I realized was my cancer does not define me.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to define me how I want to define me, and I choose to take this cancer and put it over here where it doesn't impact on my life any more than it has to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, man. No, I get it. I mean, look, we've in the world of health and fitness, people have their challenges, whether it's chronic, just overweight or whatever. Like, it's, I think the biggest problem people have is self-belief first and foremost, kind of like the resilience. But it's like things they have tried in the past to lose weight, to, like, we had one girl this morning did her first pull-up, and she spent the last 6 weeks telling me she was not going to be able to do it.
Oh, this is Julia.
Oh, yeah, you were
there.
Hey,
oh,
amazing.
yeah, amazing. And on her birthday as well.
Yeah, that was her goal, to do the pull-up.
Yeah, she did.
So
amazing.
We did the program for her. I did it with her weeks after weeks after weeks all the way. And I'm watching her, and I'm like, I think you're going to do it. Like, I've seen this before, and you're doing great. She didn't believe herself. She finally did it. Amazing. But it's just that. It's like she didn't believe in herself, but maybe it's her German mindset. She stuck to the rigid protocol, and she did it today. But I think a lot of people, it's just a belief. It's just, how do you reframe it? How do you give yourself permission to step forward? Like, how do you just get started in the direction you want to go?
2 points about that. One is an example. I know a guy who's early 50s, and he proudly describes himself as negative. And he said he's always been like that. And it's safe for him to be negative. He never expects joy, or he never expects unexpected wonderful things to happen, and he's really disappointed. And I thought, that's an interesting way to live. And I said, would you like to talk about that? You know, because I'm the opposite, and maybe there's some common ground. And he said, no. I said, okay. So that's an example in the round of people who, I can't do that. I can't, you know, nothing's going to go right. No, I couldn't possibly do what Julia has done, and so on. I'm going to take a little bit out of coaching. There are basically 3 ways that people try and change things. You were talking about people trying to lose weight and so on and so forth. The first one is outcome. I'm going to be 75K by week 12, blah, blah, blah. So it's out there somewhere. It's an outcome that I'm aiming for. Or they have process. I'm in the gym 3 days a week and I'm working on trying to lose X amount of weight. But it's all about the process. And then the third one is identity. And that's the most powerful. And it's not, I'm losing weight. Sorry, it is, I'm losing weight. Not, I'm trying to lose weight.
Right,
not,
yeah.
I'm aiming for this. I am losing weight. Forget about the number. I'm losing weight. Best example I can think of is a smoker. You know, when people are trying to give up smoking, they talk about by such and such a date, I'll be, you know, I won't be smoking. Or I'm trying to give up, I'm hiding the cigarettes, you know, I'm not hanging around with people who smoke. The most powerful thing that a person wanting to give up smoking, the most powerful thing they can do is how they describe themselves. I'm a non-smoker. Even if I had a cigarette yesterday, my mental image is I'm a non-smoker. The mental image of somebody who's carrying extra weight, I'm the weight that I want to be. And you tell yourself that often enough, and your brain, the subconscious part of your mind, kicks in, and it provides all the reasons why you are the weight you want to be right now. And then all this other stuff is detail. And for the smoker, all this other stuff around cigarettes and stuff is detail. It's incredibly powerful. And that's, you know, for a change, instead of just telling people about stuff, that's what I'm using for me. And I am saying to myself, I'm cancer-free. I'm cancer-free. Not I'm trying to get rid of it, not I hope to get rid of it, I'm cancer-free.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, look, the tests have gone the right ways, you know, so you're backing that with the actual what's present in your system.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about is there any side effects from the drugs that you're on?
Yep. I get dizzy. Luckily, I don't do it when I'm on the bike, but I'll tell you my list in a minute. I'm taking quite a few meds. I get dizzy and I need to have a sleep, about 40 to 50 minutes sleep. I can go to sleep on the metro in 30 seconds.
Right.
You know, and when I need to go to sleep, if I'm not careful, I'll probably do it here.
Right.
But that's the main side effect of the meds. And, you know...
And is it tiredness, or is it like if you just have some downtime, your brain is clocking off?
It's like, okay, now I got to...
Right.
I can't drive because I'm a danger on the road. Erectile dysfunction was supposed to be it's regarded as one of the major issues. I can't say too much, but you know, no news is no news
right, fine.
at the moment. So
yeah.
You know, good-o. Mainly the tiredness and dizziness. So I've got brain seizures, which are mini form of epilepsy. I've got shingles, phantom shingles from a couple of years ago that have never gone away. I've got the cancer.
I thought you're cancer-free.
It's in the box. At the
Yeah,
moment.
okay.
Yeah,
sorry, when you pointed, I didn't realize you pointed at the box.
It's moved from here, so I am cancer-free. I've just stuck it over there because, you know, just in case. So I've got quite a range of illnesses, and they all, for some reason or other, they all started happening this year.
Right.
Apart from the brain seizures, which started happening in October last year, but it's like I was going along, and all of a sudden, the last year, everything's kind of crammed in all at once. It's like, okay, what's going to hit me next? But the point is, with all these different things, certain medications I'm on combine and they make me dizzy, so I'm careful about that, and they make me tired. So I have a kind of a one-size-fits-all sleep, and I accommodate them all.
Yeah.
But once again, it comes down to who's running the show.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm running the show.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed, which is going to sound really bizarre, but since August, since I got the diagnosis, I have been liberated.
Wow, yeah.
The cancer has liberated me, believe it or not. Liberated me in the sense that I'm not waiting for anything. Not waiting for anything anymore. I was talking to Destiny earlier about Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
I've wanted to go to Kilimanjaro for 30 years, and I'm going next year.
Amazing.
You know, I'm just going to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to do stuff as soon as I'm able to, when it fits, and so on and so forth. And that has just transformed my life. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, believe me. But I think when you get to a stage where you decide who's running the show, if I can put it that way,
Yeah.
that's an incredibly liberating place to be, which is one of the reasons why I'm finally doing some formal coaching conversations.
Yeah.
I've been coaching people in business for 40 years, and individuals as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally going to go, instead of being a bush coach, I'm actually going to go and get some proper qualifications, because I find these conversations with people are just immensely rewarding for me.
Right.
In the sense of knowing that, I'm able to help people. And that is why I do Rise, because the opportunity to save one man's life and his family it's humbling.
Yeah. At least one man's life. So let's talk a little bit then about Rise. So it's you got the event in December 19th. What's going to happen at that event?
We've got 4 speakers, yourself included. You're going to be talking about physical health. We've got Dr. Veronica talking about mental health. We've got a lovely guy called Andrew McLaughlin, aka Cyber Warden,
right.
And he's talking about alternative therapies and stuff that's out there. It's just really an opportunity for people to come along. Guys, bring their partners, come along, and just find out about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Find out about it from people who've got it, and in this case me and Paul, another guy who's 61, and he's got an incredible journey to talk about. He's actually got stage 3 prostate cancer, but he's had to go through a whole variety of operations because this stuff just keeps popping up everywhere. And his story is remarkable in terms of positive mental attitude and so on. Yeah. And clinically, I have stage 4, but I don't need the operations that he has had. His is metastasized as well. So, this stuff is so variable.
Yeah.
So we talk for about an hour. Everyone pitches in, says what they want to say. Then we have a networking. And because it's a celebration, we're going to combine it with kind of Christmas and just celebrating the fact that setting this thing up already has changed the lives of 100 men and more. And as more people find out about it, it's becoming a tsunami.
Yeah.
It's a really simple exercise in the sense that our goals are not lofty. Our goals are about education, creating awareness, and how you do your early detection piece.
Yeah.
And then for guys who come along later and they say they've got it, we've got kind of one-to-one private chat rooms that they can connect with. It's not the sort of thing, apart from, when you get noisy buggers like me, it's not the sort of thing that blokes come into a room and say, oh, by the way, guess what? Over here, I got, stage 4 prostate cancer, but I don't want you to feel sorry for me. It's not the sort of thing you do. So giving men an opportunity to find other men who are in a similar situation so they can talk about it is also one of our goals. So how do I put this? If you're gonna have a change, if you're gonna make a change on society, it generally takes a person. People don't follow ideas. People don't follow if there's a kind of a movement. People follow people. Mm-hmm. Okay? And for the moment anyway, what I'm finding is that people are following me.
Yeah.
And I take that as a huge responsibility, one that I take on joyfully. But for whatever reason, it works. Aristotle once said that where there is a need in the world and your talents cross, there lies your vocation.
Wow, yeah, lovely.
And my vocation at the moment is to be the avatar for awareness around prostate cancer, which, at this late stage in my life, to be of that much service to so many men is just
amazing.
extraordinary.
So I keep thinking April, December 19th.
December 19th. Yeah.
Where is it? Is it open invite? Do you buy tickets?
It's open invite, Elder Square.
And is there tickets for it?
No, you just sign up for it, and we'll give you the details.
Yeah,
but you come along 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock on the 19th.
Which I think is Thursday next week.
Yeah, Thursday next week.
Yeah.
It's in Jumeirah 1, and it'll be a fun event. I know it sounds really weird to be talking about this stuff as a fun event, but hey, celebrating 100 men helping to save their lives, that's,
and
it's almost as good as New Zealand beating South Africa in the rugby.
I thought you were going to say Ireland there for a second.
No, you're a bit kind of...
That's too common. You guys must be well used to that by now.
I don't know. You're playing very well at the moment.
When it comes to the big games, mate, don't worry about it. We're just there to make New Zealand look good every time.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
Because you buggers win quite a few times.
Yeah, we win when
Number one in the world.
Not against New Zealand, we're not. Not against New Zealand.
I don't know.
We'll talk about that again when the next World Cup, when it comes around.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, so the Rise, do you want to talk, what's the website? we-rise.live?
we-rise.live.
Yeah.
And the merch, biggest thing people can do for me, don't feel sorry for me. Buy some merchandise. It's not hugely expensive. It's really good quality, because we can use that for marketing. We can use that for treatment and stuff like that. But every T-shirt, every mug, every cap that somebody buys, that money gets put back into making Rise available to more and more and more men. Now look, there are prostate cancer charities all around the world except here. And I tried to get into the UK one. They said, well, you don't pay tax here, so you can't. And fair enough. But I went on site and I looked, and I don't want to denigrate what the charities do, but they're amorphous. They're faceless. They're just big, right? And the message they give out is a combination of, that's a real shame. Oh, poor you. And we're running things about mindfulness, and we're running things about acceptance of your situation, and that sort of stuff. And I think, bugger that. I don't want somebody to feel sorry for me. I don't want somebody to tell me to accept my situation, because, like my brother John was saying, you accept your situation and you're dead in 3 years. Yeah. So this is not a charity. It is. It's being run like a business. We've got targets. And, we want in 3 or 4 months' time to be able to say it's 1,000 men that have, cool. And then 10,000 men, and then 100,000 men, Yeah. But to do that, I've got to get people around me. And so every T-shirt, every cap, the money goes into helping us to expand, to have a real forceful impact on the quality and longevity of men through early detection of the second most prevalent form of cancer and the second largest killer of men in society. Beautiful. Well, look, count me in to help whichever way I can. I've got a couple of more ideas that we'll sit down another time and talk, so watch this space. You have a social media page, one more Yep. to promote? We've got Rise Event Series is our Insta page. I'll give you the details of Facebook, because I can't remember it. No, that's fine. But yeah, we have a lot of social media stuff, mainly on Insta. Yep. And we also have a WhatsApp group with 60 or 70 people. Is this one I'm in? Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, we're posting everything from cycle rides to a bit of, somebody comes up with a joke or a funny cartoon, or just talking about the things that we're doing. It's Beautiful. A community, Yep. Simply put, to do the kind of thing that I want to do, it takes a village. It takes a village. One person can have the idea and get it kicked off, but there's absolutely no way I could have done where we've got to without Matt from Raw, without Gully from Expand, without Stella, my amazing marketing person, and Tamara from, from Elder Estate, and it just goes on and on and on. And I can look at there's 20 or 30 people already who are helping build this thing because they believe in it. They believe in me, and they believe in it, believe in what we're trying to achieve.
Amazing. Okay, well, on that note, guys, get involved however you can. And, when it gets to 10,000 men, we'll get you back on. We'll talk about what's happening. We'll talk about your Kilimanjaro trip as well.
Yeah, that'll be brilliant.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Steve.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, guys.